Queer Eye. So we've been over here. Well, have been speculating for a while. I was like, okay, so when Karamo revealed that he didn't want to do any promo for the show based, off the recommendation of his therapist because he didn't want to be bullied. He didn't say specifically to be bullied by, but who else is going to be bullied by but his castmates? I mean, who else is he interlinking with? So yeah, so according to the Daily Mail, which they wanted me to get past a paywall to get the article, but child, I always tell you, Chris is persistent. When there's a will, there's a way. I was able to get around that paywall. So um we may actually we may actually have a reason or know why or what was said during their situation that caused, the hot mic moment. So a feud has been brewing on the show Queer Eye, Netflix's resident feel good series predicated on self love and empowerment. But drama among its Fab Five cast has suggested the show's positive message may have all been a facade. Of course it was. They all came across as phony on that damn show. That's why I couldn't get into it. It just lacked authenticity for me. So this week, Karamo Brown, who has been a cast member on Queer Eye since Netflix rebooted the 2003 Bravo series in 2018, lifted the lid on behind-the-scenes tensions when he refused to join his co-stars for a series of promotional appearances on Tuesday. Brown, who's 45, claimed he was being mentally and emotionally abused for years and skipped out on his planned TV appearances in an effort to protect his peace from people who seek to destroy it. His absence seemed to come as a surprise to the rest of the Fab Five, Anthony Porowski, Tan France, Jeremiah Brent, and Jonathan Van Ness, as they put on a united front and explained their Fab Five dynamic was complicated. Of course it is. But they thought that um, he was going to come in and he was going to tap dance and do the thing that everybody always does when you're like in Hollywood. That I was just going to come in, I was going to do the job, I was going to go through the motions. We don't got to kiki with each other, whatever the case is. But my thing is, I can't be fake. Like I can't sit up in there, and I know I don't like none of these bitches up here, with the exception of Jeremiah. And I'm just gonna come in and we gonna act like everything is copacetic, and then I'm gonna just walk in, and once the cameras is off, it's like, oh no, I need my separate little room or whatever, because the people working on Good Morning America or the Today Show or CBS This Morning, they're not aware that there's a beef going on between y'all. So if they're not aware, they're not going to put Karamo in a separate unless it is recommended. And then, the Gail Kings and them, they know, if you're being professional, you can't bring up the fact that they're not as close as they try to perpetuate themselves or present themselves as being on this show. So now an inside source can exclusively share with the Daily Mail the petty details behind the bombshell conversation and why the lifestyle expert isn't expecting an apology from the Fab Five anytime soon. Saying, quote, when it comes to what Karamo's mom heard, it was very petty. While filming the season 10 of Queer Eye in Washington, D.C. last summer, Brown's mother, Charmaine Brown, reportedly visited the set and was given a pair of production headphones to observe filming. They probably didn't know she had them headphones on because I'm sure they knew they were on a mic, but they didn't care. Now, Porowski, France, and Van Ness were allegedly overheard speaking negatively about Brand after he stepped away from the set, and Charmaine told her son what she had heard. Their harsh words were said to have created an immediate rift among the cast, and Brown was remained on the outs with his three co-stars ever since. So the insider to I know is like, child, when are we going to get to what the fuck was said? See, this is how I know, like the Daily Mail, y'all get on my damn nerves. Y'all will spend, I tell you, I think they get paid by the damn letter. But so the insider told the Daily Mail that Porowski, France, and Van Ness made comments about how Brown looked and dressed, and then turned it into complaining about what he tells the subjects on the show. Since he is the life coach, that obviously not something that anyone wants to hear, that they aren't doing a good job. It's especially hard when it's coming from your so-called friends. As it turned out, Brown had concerns that his fellow cast members were talking behind his back. So when his mother had heard them stirring up drama, that was all confirmed. Saying it turned very sour very fast once Karamo figured out that what they really felt for him. That's according to the source. Now, this isn't the first time the rumors of cast feuds have circulated around Queer Eye. Speculation of tensions between Brown and his co stars first emerged when he appeared to unfollow all his co stars apart from interior designer Brent, 41, on Instagram. In 2024, it was announced that interior designer Bobby Burke was leaving the show and being replaced by Brent. Burke was 44, then revealed there was an off camera situation between himself and fashion expert France, sparking, fans wild theories about the reason behind the exit. Now, after fans noticed that Burke had unfollowed France on social media, he confessed there was a situation, and that's between Tan and I and has nothing to do with the show. It was something personal that had been brewing and nothing romantic, just to clarify that, because we always have to clarify as gay men that we don't all fuck each other. So, should I have unfollowed Tan? No. Maybe I should have just muted him. But that day I was angry, and that's the end of it. We became like siblings, and siblings are always going to fight. However, an explosive role, and then of course they get into there was a Rolling Stone article that reported that France and Porowski conspired to get Burke kicked off the show and replaced by the British star's friend Brent. France has strongly denied the allegations. Didn't I tell y'all that it's always got something to do with? I truly believe that France and Porowski are the problems of that show. There was always something about Anthony that worked my nerve. And y'all gay blogs like Queerty and all y'all think y'all slick with this shit, because I saw today that, oh, so we're going to try to combat what's going on and try to deflect, because so we're going to show some photos of Anthony in a Speedo, thinking that's going to wash the dirty stench out of our mouths over all this drama's going on. Queer. I'm like, sir, you look like an average white boy with a nice body in a Speedo. You are a dime a dozen. I could sneeze and I could see boys 10 times hotter than you in New York that can wash the floor with your ass. So you putting all that up there, that's not going to distract us from the fact that there's a lot of you queens that work on this show that are just nasty. First you did it to Bobby, and now you're doing it to Karamo. And to me, gay Jesus, y'all already know what I'm talking about with that. He the one that he go by he, her, she, them pronoun. They can use all the damn you, they, them, but you're using all the pronouns. He went on to say, I feel like he's a go along to get along type. Like you're just gonna go along with the situation and just to be a good kiki sister. But I do feel like the shady ones on the show is Anthony and Tan. There was always something about those two that just rubbed me the wrong way. That I always felt like it's something real skeevy or whatever. And as I told y'all before, when I showed y'all that Gail King clip, the previous times we talked about it on the show, I said that it gave very much like, if you paid attention to Anthony while he was trying to be up there with his little puppy eyes or whatever, it's catching the shade that he was throwing. He was throwing little subtleties up in there. Families are complicated and all this other stuff, because it was, and that's why I said, Karama, you real shady, but I live. Because what you did was you threw them off guard. You threw them off their game because you didn't give them enough time to come up with a PR excuse or something to say in regards of you not showing up. So they had to scramble and figure out what they was going to do to explain you not being there. And my thing is, this show is over. You don't gotta explain it, and you ain't gotta hang out with them hoes no more. Now I guess you just got your talk show, which people have criticized you for over that whole pink sauce thing that happened. But everybody's allowed their little L. If we haven't heard these stories about Toronto bullying people, so I don't understand why people trying to erase what he had to deal with and be like, well, he's the problem too. I don't know about all of that. I haven't heard those stories about Karamo being problematic. And him doing something where he came at somebody on one episode of a talk show is not excusing or diminishing or making it about, well, he did this over there, so therefore I don't feel sorry for him on this show. That is the most cockamamie dumb shit I've ever heard. So um we have two people so far from that show that have talked about, well, have pretty much had to deal with shadiness from their co-stars. So at what point do we kind of look at it as them people over there are the problem? And I'm glad that there was a lot of people that jumped on social media that was dragging Anthony when he posted that thing about the show in the comments. So I was gonna say, is there anything else? Because I think it's gonna just continue to talk about all the other stuff. We don't need to sit and talk about all the other things because we already know about it in regards to like the history of the show and what happened and the expose that Rolling Stone did about gay Jesus, all that stuff. We don't need to go into that. But I just feel like I said all I need to say regarding this situation, and I'm sure more is going to come out. So that's all it took. The fact that they was talking about him behind the scenes, which we all knew. I just want to know what it was. So you up in there criticizing, and I'm like, quiet as a scab. A lot of y'all on the show, what exactly do you provide and what do you give in with these people that's really helping them out? I would love to hear from these people that was on Crowd and be like, did these people actually come up with it and change your life? I highly doubt it. I mean, that's why I miss the old Queer Eye for the Straight guy that used to come on Bravo because it was like it was about helping people, but it was also poking fun and not taking itself too seriously. This show they all be trying to act like they fucking Oprah on there. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding the tea that they said that they was up in there talking about critiquing the advice that he was giving and also making fun of the way he would dress. And I'm like, child, the shit y'all be winning on the show, y'all be acting like that. You a damn designer. You ain't working for Louis Vuitton. Like you're not a style. You're not Laura Roach. You're not a stylist. So stick. Look, quiet as good. Tan France ain't even a fashionista. So them outfits he be wearing, you be looking like a damn fool. So I never want to hear from y'all. Let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.